Congratulations on your purchase of a Magliner motorized Dewar Cart. The motorized Dewar Cart was developed working with industry professionals like you and can handle nearly all 20 and 26-inch diameter dewars, as well as up to 4 high-pressure cylinders. Its design flows from 4 primary objectives: safety for the operators during all phases of loading, transporting, and unloading dewars and high-pressure cylinders; productivity by enabling the operators to handle just about any 20 and 26-inch dewars, as well as up to 4 high-pressure cylinders with the same machine; ease of use by thoughtful, intuitive controls; and durability to withstand the tough working conditions we know are part of your daily working routine. The motorized Dewar Cart is a revolutionary machine that greatly reduces the risk of injuries that you face every day, while helping to increase productivity in the handling and transportation of packaged gases. Your motorized Dewar Cart is shipped complete with the AC charger, owner's manual, halo hook for 20-inch Dewar tanks, halo hook for 26-inch Dewar tanks, and key. Be sure to read the entire owner's manual thoroughly before first use. A key is required to turn power on and off for all of the Dewar Cart's functions to prevent unauthorized use. Remove and store the key whenever the unit is unattended. The horn button is located on the left side of the center console. The horn can be sounded at any time while the key switch is in the on position. The horn alarm will sound automatically while the cart is operated in reverse. A belly button safety switch prevents the operator from being pinned against an object or wall while operating in reverse. If the operator's waist contacts the belly button hard enough, the electronic controller instantly changes the cart's direction and moves the cart away from the operator for a few feet. Change the rack and halo hook position using 2 integrated rocker switches located on the forward console area. The switches are permissive and require the operator to depress both switches simultaneously to move the rack or the hook. This prevents the possibility that the operator's hands and fingers can be in a pinch point during operation. The left switch is the device selector switch, which selects whether the rack or hook is to be operated. The right switch is the position selector switch, which controls the up and down motion of the rack or hook. Green indicator lights indicate permission to actuate the switch. If they are not lit, the switches will not operate. To raise the rack, first depress the side of the switch labeled Rack on the device selector switch. Then press Up on the position selector switch to raise the rack. Select Down on the switch to lower the rack. When operating the cart while empty, the rack should be in the lowered or down position. The halo hook operates with a similar process for raising or lowering the rack. The operator would depress the side of the device selector switch labeled Hook, then select up or down to move the hook. Neither the rack nor the hook can be positioned while the cart is in motion. The green indicator lights turn off when the cart is in motion. The Smart Gauge display shows the battery charge status and diagnostic codes if there is an electronic or operational fault. For example, if the park brake is in the release position, the gauge will flash and the beeper will beep indicating a fault, and the cart will not operate until the fault is cleared. To reset the fault, the key switch has to be cycled to the off position, then back to the on position once the fault is cleared. The Dewar Cart's propulsion system is controlled by the throttle located on the right side of the center console area. The key switch must be on to operate the throttle. For forward operation, stand behind the unit and press the throttle lever forward. The further you push away from zero, the faster it moves. The cart can operate in high or low speed. High speed should only be used when the cart is operated outdoors with plenty of space. Indoor operation should always be low speed. For reverse operation, move the throttle lever in the reverse direction. For short distances, standing behind the unit driving it toward you is acceptable only if you operate the cart as slow as possible. The operator should operate this way in reverse only when repositioning the cart. For all other reverse operation, it is strongly recommended that the operator stand beside the cart, facing the direction of motion, while controlling the speed with his right hand on the throttle as shown. The Dewar Cart has both regenerative braking and a park brake. The park brake locks the cart in place whenever the throttle is at 0 speed or if the cart is turned off. It is released in one of two ways. Either the operator turns on the unit and moves the throttle in forward or reverse, or the operator manually releases the brake using the pull lever. The park brake should only be released if the propulsion system malfunctions, or if the battery charge is too low to power the propulsion system. Manually releasing the park brake creates a fault condition, and if the key switch remains on, the gauge will blink and the horn will beep. The throttle control is also disabled. Turn the key switch to the off position and then carefully push the cart back to a serviceable location. Even when the park brake is released and the key switch is off, the cart includes a safety feature called Push Too Fast. The electronic controller monitors speed in the manual push mode, and if the speed exceeds a certain setting, the controller will automatically apply regenerative braking to aggressively slow down the cart. The regenerative braking is very aggressive, so it is best to pull the cart at a very slow pace while in manual push mode. The Dewar Cart includes two halo hooks. The shorter hook is used to capture 20-inch diameter dewars, and the longer hook is used to capture 26-inch diameter dewars. Make sure you store the unused hook in the toolbox to prevent loss or possible damage when not in use. The operating range of the halo hook positioner is about 8 inches. If the dewar tank is beyond the range of the positioner, the operator can adjust the hook positioner up or down by unpinning and then repinning into the desired position. When using the Dewar Cart to capture and transport high-pressure cylinders, the halo hook should be removed and stored in the toolbox. Make sure you replace the pin in the empty slot so it does not get lost. Lift up on the nose plate release lever and lower the plate using the cable stays to lower it slowly. To fold the nose plate, use the cable stays to lift the plate and secure it with the release lever. With the rack in the vertical position and the nose plate down, carefully roll kick the bottom of the high-pressure cylinders onto the nose plate. The high-pressure cylinder retention bar should be used whether the operator is carrying 3 or 4 cylinders. The retention bar is installed after the first 2 cylinders have been loaded. Once the 3rd or 4th cylinder has been loaded, use the retractable ratchet strap to secure the tanks to the rack. To tilt the rack back for transporting heavy loads, the tractor may be drawn up to the rack, rather than the rack lower to the tractor. If the weight on the nose plate is more than the tractor, the unit will be drawn up to the tractor. Once it is just about up to the rack, the operator can then pull the load over as shown. A good rule of thumb is when the tractor is about eye level or higher with the operator, it is comfortable to pull the load over. There are 2 stages of the pullover. The first tilts the rack and tractor back into a transition position where the rack and front drive wheels are on the ground, but not the back swivel caster. The final or transport position is achieved when the drive wheels and caster wheels are on the ground. This can easily be done by continuing to pull the tractor up to the rack until it is easy to pull it over all the way. The step plate at the back of the tractor can also be used to help pull the load all the way over. To capture and load a dewar tank, first confirm that the short hook is installed. Then approach the tank slowly and stop approximately 12 to 18 inches in front of the tank. Once the cart is at a complete stop, raise the rack into the upright position. With the rack in the upright position, approach the tank so that the halo hook lines up with the slot in the tank. You may have to adjust the hook up or down to achieve the proper elevation. Make sure that the short hook is used with 20-inch dewars. If the long hook is used on a 20-inch dewar, damage to the piping and valves at the top of the dewar could occur. Once the hook is in the slot on the dewar tank, Raise the halo hook to a point that it firmly contacts the tank's halo ring slot. It is not necessary or desirable to use the hook to lift the dewar off the ground. Use the ratchet strap as a redundant securement before lowering the rack with the dewar on it. Remember that lowering the rack will likely raise the tractor up to the rack since the weight of the dewar is more than the tractor. Allow the tractor to raise up toward the rack to an elevation where the handlebars are approximately at eye level. With the tractor pulled up toward the rack, it is easy to pull the load over to the transition position. Then continue to pull the tractor toward the rack until the load can easily be pulled over with the wheels and rear casters on the ground. Once the dewar is in a position to be offloaded, select the rack and the up selector switches to raise the rack. As the rack moves to the upright position, it will lean forward and slightly raise the tractor's rear caster wheels from the ground. This intermediate position is intended to be a hold point to control the uprighting of the dewar tank. Continue raising the rack until the dewar is in the vertical position. Select the hook and down selector switches to lower the dewar until the hook is no longer bearing on the halo ring slot. Unsecure the ratchet straps, back the cart away from the dewar, and then retract the rack to the fully down position. Use the longer hook to capture 26-inch dewars. It may also be necessary to adjust the halo hook positioner to a lower position, since many 26-inch dewars are shorter than the 20-inch dewars. Once the longer hook has been firmly set, raise the hook to a point where the back wheels of the dewar are lifted slightly off the ground if possible. Use the ratchet strap to secure the dewar to the rack. It is recommended to use the additional ratchet strap option when moving 26-inch dewars. Since the weight of 26-inch diameter dewars is usually much greater than 20-inch dewars, and because the center of gravity is shifted forward on the cart, tilting a 26-inch dewar back is impractical. The proper way to transport a 26-inch dewar is to leave it in the upright position with only the front wheels of the dewar on the ground. The unit can then be operated in forward or reverse to move the dewar safely. It may also help to lift the rear caster wheels of the tractor a few inches from the ground once the dewar is strapped to the rack. By raising the rear wheels off the ground, additional weight is applied to the drive wheels to ensure better traction, easier turning, and better accommodation of ramps or uneven surfaces. Apply a little throttle when making a turn, especially when the unit is at rest. For square-based 26-inch dewars, make sure the fixed casters are against the rack. Retain the handlebar with the strap to prevent it from hitting any objects. The Dewar Cart can handle dewar tanks up to 750 pounds on a 3-to-1 grade. Never attempt to operate on a grade greater than 3-to-1. Transportation up a ramp can be achieved in either forward or reverse. While traveling down ramps, it is recommended that you drive down the ramp with the handlebars facing downhill, or traveling in reverse. As shown earlier, the proper way to travel in reverse is to stand beside the unit while in motion. If the operator loses contact with the throttle, the cart will slow down, stop, and lock in place until the operator regains contact with the throttle. Remember, the only time the park brake should be released is if the cart becomes inoperable. If the operator approaches a ramp while the park brake is released, the push-too-fast safety feature can prevent a runaway situation. The push-too-fast feature will only allow the cart to reach approximately 1.2 miles per hour before applying regenerative braking to slow the load. Here you see the operator has released the brake and the cart begins to accelerate down the ramp. The operator is there only to guide the cart while the push-too-fast feature is working. The Dewar Cart must be charged using the off-board charger supplied with the unit. The batteries cannot be overcharged, and it is recommended to keep the cart on charge whenever it is not in use. Turn the key switch to the off position and remove the key while charging. Charge time can range from 2 to 6 hours depending on battery discharge level. Keep the machine on charge whenever it is not in use. When fully charged, the light on the charger will turn green, and you can check the charge level referring to the smart gauge. Refer to the owner's manual for additional charging information. Refer to the end-of-the-day checklist that is provided in the owner's manual. It is recommended that the checklist is used each day to ensure safe operation. Thank you again for purchasing a Magliner motorized Dewar Cart. If you have any questions regarding operation, please contact Magliner Customer Service at 1-800-624-5463.